Right, guys, I've been asked about horsemanship within the samurai world. Now, I'm going to take my time with this video. It's not going to be mega long, but I'm not going to rush you through it. But basically, if you can get yourself a copy of the Book of Bushido on Audible, that would be amazing. Book of Ninjas on Audible, Art of Wars on Audible, How to Be a Modern Samurai on Audible, all there. Get yourself them Audible credits going. Right, I've been asked about samurai horses, and sorry guys, it's taken me so long to get to the answer, but it's a bit more of an in-depth thing. How did samurai use a horse in warfare, and how do the people around him interact with him? So this is the bit where first thing we have to do is say, remember the samurai last 1,000 years. Okay, so it's the same as, how did knights use a horse? Well, differently at different times. So it's the same we can say for the samurai. But all I can say to you is I've got tidbits of information here, and I don't really know, I couldn't tell you exactly how they use their horses. I know it sounds crazy. You'd think they'd get on them and charge, wouldn't you? But no, not really. So Brian Call from Tales from Dusk Till Dawn, Tales from Dawn Till Dusk, is he is your best man on his channel for early samurai stuff. He's recently just brought out a video on the archery, like Yabusame. Yep, Yabusame, you shooting, and that's it. And they then do religious shots, proper shots, and we've just gone through all that in a video that I've featured Brian in there, so make sure you check out Brian's channel. But also, so my point here is Brian focused on the early times. Now, we do know in the early times, mounted warriors, it's not so much, it's like the Mongols, and in China, the mounted the mounted soldiers, and I assume in Korea. I don't know much about Korea, but especially the Mongols. If you want to know about early Japanese archers, instead of thinking of archers like this, you're looking at Mongol archers. Now, why do I say that? Because we know from Brian's work that they come back up, they do fake dismounts, come up. I know from my scrolls that they talk about how to string a bow while you're riding, yep, and then how to shoot. We know from Yabusame, that turn, reverse and shoot, to be able to shoot, targets at gallop, okay? I also know we've got certain ways of holding the reins while you shoot and steering a horse, and again, putting this, unstringing your bow and all that. So we know from horseback they were horse-mounted archers, and not just ride along, clink, clink, like proper, really, somebody's thundering across the landscape, down it goes, more arrows. So we've got all of that. But we know warfare changes. Now, there's a big gap in my knowledge about the evolution of warfare from Brian Call's time, which is the early samurai times, where it's very much like that, very, like he said in his latest comment, feminine, less masculine. That's just an illusion that we have, but because they seriously were hardened warriors back then, and the court was becoming effeminate, if you like, but the warriors on the outside were very hard, robust, pulling like the bow. They would say there was like Yoshitsune said to have had 3 people to pull his bow down and things like that. Yoshitsune, not Yoshimori. But there's this gap of knowledge from there to Sengoku style sieges, full-on army combat, archers at the side, where the cavalry existed. So Sengoku period, Naomasa, is it, with his red devils, and basically he's thundering cavalry. Now, what I do know is that they used to, so we always, in English, we say couch a lance. So you couch a lance, okay? You don't set your lance, you couch it. And then you thunder in and strike. Now, in Japan, they actually have not a couching hook. Anybody know what that's called? But you lance rest. They don't have a lance rest, but they say you should tie your tenigui, you take it off and you tie the back of your spear to your obi so that you have control like this, and it takes the strain as you spear someone down. So we do have spear lancing in that form, but we also have, of course, lance fighting from horseback. and we have charges. We know the cavalry breaking in and moving round and send your cavalry this way. We've got all that. So we know archers. We know cavalry come in and lance. But the battlefield is packed. So a lot of it was actually messengers and fast scouting. So you got to scout up there. Omonomi, Chumanomi, Komonomi, Shinobi, Monomi, Shinobi. Okay? Right there, you're sort of 5 grades. But before a certain time period, they meant different things, so you've got to be careful. Omonomi, Chumanomi, Komonomi are actually different in their tasks, big, middle, and large scouting, and it changes. And we don't know if that's an Edo period change or it's a later Sengoku period change. I'm not quite sure, but that changes. So we know they're thundering along. Even the Lord will go out, and we're talking about scouts. Omonomi is like 300 people on horse, thundering along. You know, lancers, archers, waiting, having a look round, come back. Then you get single Monomi scouts going up with smaller Komonomi going up, you know what I mean? So they're small-footed scouts going up and they check different. And then there's the scouting method like this. And there's the coward's return and the brave return and things like that, depending on the way you're facing. So we've got all those bits to deal with. But then you have messengers who are going from... So you've got Sangun, which is the 3 armies. And you got the Taisho is the Taisho of the main army, and or the Shogun. It could be actually the Shogun is the Shogun of the armies, because this is earlier than Shoguns. And you then get people, the Taishos possibly, depending on which clan system you're using, they will send messengers. So Taisho, Shogun in the middle. Guys, the reason I'm stumbling a bit here is not because I don't know, because it gets complicated. You've got Shogun of the left, Shogun of the right, you've got Center Shogun, Sangun, and this is then you get Skyban messengers in and out going across it. It could be 4 miles away. Skyban messengers going, his white flag is, you know, comes up on the side of in the active side, I think. I can't, or does he come in from the left and move out from the right? I can't remember off head. It's in the Book of Samurai series, and he'll be like, you know, my lord, blah 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 blah, says this. Joe has said that. You know, okay, right, off you go. He goes back to the back of the queue and on his horse and waits. Horse calms down and all that. Gets to when other messengers go out, he gets him time to relax, calm down. Then it's his turn. Right, take this message to that guy. Thunders across 4 or 5 miles that way. My lord, you know, that type of stuff is going on. Then of course you get pack horses who are just at the back. So the Skyban messengers, it says if you come across a messenger, you say halt. You know, we're both on important missions. Let's not fight here. We've both got to give our orders. If one of us dies, and it might be me, my lord's orders won't go through, so let's not fight. And think, okay, right, I'll see you on the battlefield when it's finished. So they go off and then they'll look for each other's standards on the battlefield. Yeah, remember you, yeah. You know, that's it. That's one of the protocols, which is most likely true, whether it's an Edo period invention, but it's most likely true because it sounds pretty samurai. Oh, good morning, how are you? Very good, yeah. Shall we fight later? Yes, all right, I'll take your head in a bit, you know what I mean? I say, Bob. So, why are all my samurai called Bob? I think it's from Blackadder. Hello, Bob. And if you're American and if you've not seen Blackadder, start with Blackadder Series 2. Don't go Series 1. They were just finding their feet. Blackadder Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, then go back to Series 1. You don't need to watch them in order. But just do 2, 3, 4, 1. And sort of ignore the Christmas special from 1999. Right, so... But there's also the idea that when you come across someone, you can dismount, slap your horse's rump, and then it goes, and as they're trying to get off and all that, you go up and stab them or kill them. The other thing of combat is if somebody's there, the horse reins are not like Western horse reins. They are singular, and you put them on your hands a certain way in and a certain way out, okay? Like this, right? So then what you do, the reins are made of chain with like a crepe leather or a crepe material over it, and then somebody tries to slash them, doesn't go through. So that's quite good with the, you know, the range. You can imagine people going click, and if you haven't put your chains through, there's a problem. But they're all nice and pretty, lots of fur. We always imagine the samurai. The new Wolverine Deadpool. I'm going to see Deadpool. It's my birthday on Friday, guys, and I am going to go watch Wolverine in the morning with Deadpool and Wolverine. And he's now in his yellow spandex, isn't he? So actually, back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was black. And we always imagine the samurai like this, but actually there's lots of colours depending on the time. Then they get into their black armour phase, but they tend to have lots of ropes and ribbons and, you know, straw in the hair that's done up on the mane and things like that, making it almost mohawk. So you imagine a mohawk horse, like, come on, you know what I mean? And then it's like stamping its feet and you're couching your lance and pulling it there, or you might be on a mission like that. You've also crossing a river. We know about crossing a river. So you go into the river and you pull up the skirts and all that to try and create a floating effect. You can even use floats, and then people swim by holding on to the spears. You get on the horse and somebody holds the tail and the horse goes across and you go across and you're pushing it across. There's also, you move across with all the spears put together for the cavalry, and you crush the spears to you and you all push together and push across and get out like that, so because you will drown off in horseback. So you've got that, and then of course you've got, like, the problem you've got is, this is the major problem, and probably the major question which I can't answer, is what did the side assistants do when you're in horse combat? And we don't know. So what you get is you get a groom, a couple of grooms, a horse feeder if you like, the lead, you know, you get these people, the side assistants, all these types of people hanging on with your. So when you count flags and you count horses, you count, there's 100 horses, that's 600 people roughly, because you get the samurai on the back and probably 4 or 5 around him, so you're looking at 500 to 600 people for every 100 horses. So that's how you count them. One Joe of one Joe, I can't quite remember, there's a certain amount of area given, so you say, okay, they'll take up this much room, which means that campsite doesn't have that amount of room, so they'll have to go to that campsite. Or we know there's that much room, that many horses, that many men, we'll need this much provisions, and that's all the shinobi work that's going in like that. So, but what do we do with those men when they're fighting? So there's also the idea is you dismount as well. You might dismount and send your men back, and also take off your hayadate, I think you're taking off, or suneate. Hayadate, I think. So basically you're taking off your armoured skirts. So it's something I never come across. So we've got Book of Samurai, and literally says, in our school, you take it off and you can put it over your shoulder, or you give it to your assistant. And then they made me start looking at lots of art from early Japanese, from Sengoku period. And yes, they don't fight with hayadate on. If I'm remembering, sorry guys, I've been so busy with babies and houses and everything, I may as well start again with bloody Japanese terms. So you're basically taking off your armoured skirt. So it's like, okay, so where are the assistants? So for the person who's asked the question, I can't 100% tell you what's actually going on, but we know some of them dismount and send their horses back as an expensive piece of kit for a battlefield, closed-in battlefield where there's not much for it to do. So you have to remember, and then you take in Sun Tzu. So guys, if you haven't done it, that My Ultimate Art of War is one of my favourite books that I've written. I really did a good job on that finally, that Art of War book, and it is Sun Tzu there. But you know, I don't know if we've gone past the Asian culture love, but that, guys, we've got it on Audible, and I've got it. You got it in hardback and Kindle. I did. I don't. There's so many of my books I look at and go, oh, I could have changed that, but I did all right with that one. It was actually the publisher that put the original Giles version. I was like, don't do it, take it out. And till this day, I want to re-edit the original into my own translation and put that out. I really do. Right. So, what was I going to say then? So, you get cavalry going around and sort of maneuvering and smashing through lesser troops and stuff like that. So when people say, how did samurai use a horse, there's tons of ways to use it. We don't have a very clear-cut picture, but we have this picture, and we know that samurai changed over time. So actually, guys, it changes, but I hope for the person who asked me, that really, really does help you sort of understand. And that's where my knowledge is at the minute, guys. I couldn't 100%. The next step is the shogunate. So Nick from the shogunate and Scott from Sengoku Studies, to be able to say, okay, at the Battle of Sakakahara, we knew this happened. At the Siege of Osaka, this happened. This happened, and we can start to piece together. And then, of course, Brian Cole from Dusk Till Dawn, Dawn Till Dusk, Tales from Dusk Till Dawn, Tales from Dawn Till Dusk. I will get it one day, guys. I'm gonna have to put it on a bloody piece of paper there until I remember it. He is going through and he's picking out these things for me. Any combat or anything like that, he's picking them out. And we've already got the duel one, so we're just now looking for any battles type stuff. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Again, If you want to help me, got Book of Samurai series, Book of Ninja series, Samurai Death Cult, guys. I had to self-publish that because it was too dangerous for the publishers. So you should get a copy. How to be a Modern Samurai. Yin and Yang seems to be picking up, actually. As soon as we go, well, if you're interested in Yin and Yang, Art of War, Book of Bushido. 4 of them are on Audible, and the best deal I get, guys, honestly, I muscled in on a good deal with my publisher for the Book of Bushido. If you get that on Audible, quids in here, so make sure you get that book. Spend one of your credits, guys, on that, and we'll get it, and we'll get there. We'll get more of them out. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Looking forward to your comments below. My name's Anthony Cummins. Subscribe and keep in touch with our samurai community, what we're pushing around at the minute, to keep everyone moving forward with this samurai information.